If you just want to try the app that is Treebard so far, you don't even have to watch this whole video. That's how easy it is to try Treebard. I won't make you wait through the whole video for the instructions to get the Treebard executable. I'm going to tell you right now, you can just go to treebard.com/download and download the zip file. The link is in the description below. Right-click the downloaded file, select unzip or extract, and unzip it anywhere on your computer except don't put it in Windows program files. That's only for installed apps. Treebard is a portable app. You could literally copy the files onto your friend's computer or put them on a thumb drive and take Treebard to Starbucks with you. You don't install Treebard, but until now you had to install Python and one dependency. Now you can try Treebard without installing anything. Keep watching for all the details on how I made my first executable. This is the instructions that I followed. I started out with somewhat different instructions, and as I found what did and did not work for me, I changed these until I came up with what actually did work for me. Because I had seen several videos about how to do this, and I had compiled instructions for myself to use on my first attempt. And then with my second and third attempt, I just kept altering the instructions till I came out with good results. On my desktop, I put the actual file that was created by pyinstaller using Auto-Py-to-EXE as the GUI, the graphical user interface. Let me show you how it worked out. Unzip the program into a folder called Treebard, which I could open by double-clicking right there. It's on my desktop. Behold by Louis Kessler. That's a good program. You should check it out. Louis Kessler is one of the world's #1 experts on GEDCOM. It's a GEDCOM reader, so check it out. Inside here, we have all the usual stuff. This is all part of Treebard. All the normal files that are part of Treebard. But then inside, way inside, buried deep inside here where I put it, is a new folder called Output that was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE. This is also a folder that was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE. This is a folder that was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE. We've got your tkinter folders, there's pillow folders. These are my folders. You can double click this, but then you know, in order to find it, you got to drill down to find it. So that's why I made a shortcut instead. So you can double click the shortcut, or you can double click the file itself. That will also open Treebard. You see how fast that is? Same as clicking this shortcut, same thing. Okay, this .exe file was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE using pyinstaller. Or you can do it straight with pyinstaller if you want. You can even look at the flags that are created in Auto-Py-to-EXE because that's what Auto-Py-to-EXE does. It creates flags for your command prompt for running pyinstaller. Now let's create another one using the instructions that will be on your screen from time to time. You can make a screenshot, but you don't have to because they're also in the video description. You can use this video for other Python apps. There's my instructions. First thing we do, upx.github.io. Let's go there and get UPX. Download the latest release. I have a 64-bit machine and Windows. That's the one I'm going to click. There it is. Right click, extract all. I extracted all to here. What UPX does is it decreases the size of the .exe file by 20 to 30%. It also increases the load time a little. The thing about pyinstaller is that it does include some libraries that are not needed. I believe the purpose of the UPX is to simplify the directory structure that is created by pyinstaller, get rid of unneeded stuff and unnecessary libraries. Even so, I noticed that Treebard's size was increased by 74 megabytes with stuff that was added by pyinstaller, and I assume that is stuff that's necessary. I'm not going to mess with that. It works. Don't fix it. You know what I mean? The next thing to do is run the command prompt. We're going to install pyinstaller. We're going to install Auto-Py-to-EXE with pip, which is the package manager for Python. This is very, very easy, so don't be afraid of that scary little black window. It may be scary, but it's not going to bite you. So if you go in here to search for it, you could type CMD and it will show up, but it's here in my recent, so I'm just going to go right click and run as administrator. This is the current working directory, which will need to be changed before we run pyinstaller, but in order to use pip to install pyinstaller, we don't have to change the current directory at all. We just do it. So we're going to pip install pyinstaller. Hit enter. I already did it. When that's finished, you're going to pip install Auto-Py-to-EXE. You just type this exactly like it says, spell it right, put the dashes in there, hit enter, and that will install. And then to run pyinstaller, I change into my D drive. Now you see D into where you want to be. This is where I put it. I don't know if I have to put it there, but that's where my starting .py script is, which I call Treebard _ root _ 036 or whatever number I happen to be on at the time. Right now it's 036, but after this video gets older, then it'll be 040, 099, 999. Depends on how long I keep working on Treebard. I could push enter, and there you go. This is the place where I keep all my Python files. D, Treebard, app, Python. You can put Treebard anywhere you want. You can put it on a USB drive, whatever you want to do. Just don't change the folder structure. I decided that I wanted to put my exe file in the same place as my Python. I got that information from a video. This is what was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE. This is simpler than what pyinstaller itself would have created if I had run pyinstaller directly instead of running Auto-Py-to-EXE. This is what I told Auto-Py-to-EXE to make the name of the app. It has a date on it, so I know what day I made it, because I'm going to make more in the future when I make changes to Treebard. This is the exe, and this is the folder that was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE using stuff that had been created in the background by pyinstaller with the help of UPX. This is where you look for your exe in the output folder. So you just type the Auto-Py-to-EXE command, enter, and it'll open. This warning apparently is less diabolical than it sounds. I've always just ignored it. It's always there. This is the GUI for running pyinstaller. It's called Auto-Py-to-EXE, and I found that it is a very nice program. This is red because there's nothing in it. We got to browse, Treebard, app, Python. If you sort backwards by name, there it is. That is my actual script. Open, and then it gets put right there. And you also see that it got put right here. So this is our command prompt command. This program, Auto-Py-to-EXE, builds a command for the scary little black window. That. And instead of us having to say pyinstaller and then typing all those flags and stuff for the command, then Auto-Py-to-EXE is going to do that for us. So we leave this alone just to minimize it. We're going to choose one directory because it's a complex app and I don't want one file. If you make one file out of it, it will make just a .exe file. You can double click it, it'll work, but it'll have to unpack all those directories that are in Treebard. I think this is a simpler way to do it. You could do it without the console if you don't want to see the console, but since Treebar is not finished, I want to see the Python errors in the console. That's the scary little black window that will run when Treebard runs, because it's going to show Python errors, which I need to see. And then if I distribute a .exe file that is for a much more finished version of Treebard, then I would choose this instead, so that the users trying to look at Treebard won't have to get scared off by the little black window, which is harmless as long as you don't use it to do anything weird. Icon, that's in the same place in Python. It's .ico. You got to make a proper ICO file. Don't just rename a JPEG or something. You got to make a proper ICO file, and you can do that real easy. And there's websites that'll do it for you. Provide a .png file that is your icon, and they'll do everything else. There is the icon. Additional files, they're in folders. Okay, we're going to add all the folders here, but there is, if you go up to the Treebard, there's two files I want to include, the license and the readme. Now we're going to add folders, and it's going to do those folders one at a time. Etc. is not needed for the program to run, but app and data are. And you can include etc. if you want. I mean, you're probably going to do this with your own program, not with mine. You got to include the ones that are needed for the program to run. This etc. not in repo, not needed for the program to run. I won't include that. Under advanced, there's only a few things to do, and most of this stuff you don't even have to know what it means. Name, I called mine something like Treebard. I don't know if you can put spaces. I've tried it both ways. I think you can. And I also put a date stamp so I know what day I made this .exe file. It was March 10th, so today it's March 13th. Here we're going to browse for that folder we created when we extracted UPX. That was in here. So we're just going to select that file. You see how it went down there? Select that folder right there. You can also see that, like everything else, Auto-Py-to-EXE, put it down here. There it is. That's a flag. This is a flag for the name. If you're using pyinstaller, you got to put quotations around that name string and around that path string. These are the directories or folders that were added by Auto-Py-to-EXE. See, we didn't have to type all this stuff. And some of the stuff I wouldn't have known how to type. This is the script itself. These are some simple flags. I don't know what no confirm is, but I just left it there. Wonder, console, icon, here's your icon. All that has been done by Auto-Py-to-EXE, and this is the command that was created for pyinstaller to run. Don't forget to do this. This was filled in by Auto-Py-to-EXE, and I'm just going to leave that. And then you just go convert Py to EXE. Let's click that button and see what happens. This doesn't take long, maybe a little longer than a minute. Completed successfully, and it moved the project where we told it to in that output file that was created by Auto-Py-to-EXE. I already had an output file, so I believe that what it did is it created a second exe file right next to the other one I created 2 or 3 days ago. We're done with this. We already did all that. Back here in the output file, we now have two, one from the 10th and one from today, which is the 13th. We already know that this one works, so let's test this. This was all created by Auto-Py-to-EXE and or pyinstaller. Double click this. Okay, that works. It opens Treebard. Treebard works. Everything seems kind of hunky-dory to me. So let's just close Treebard, right-click, create shortcut. Let's put it on the desktop for now. If you keep internal and exe together as siblings, we've moved them to an isolated folder all by themselves here on the desktop. Put them in various directories on the USB where the whole thing existed as a copy. So you can see there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. If I was going to make a conclusion, but I'm not going to, but if I was going to try and draw a conclusion here, I would say that you can move these to any place on your computer, but you can't move the original files, which are basically this and this. This is not needed for the program to run. This and this are not needed for the program to run. This and this, some of the stuff in here and here is needed for the program to run. And you can't move it. Let's look at this E again. There's internal, there's EXE, Treebard, app and data. Okay, it's all there on the USB drive. I'm going to copy it to the other computer, make sure it still works. What happened when I took this program downstairs and tried it on the Windows 10 computer? They're both 64-bit. This one is Windows 11. The one downstairs is Windows 10. Upstairs here, I wasn't able to do anything with the app and data directories in the Treebard folder. I couldn't move them, couldn't delete them, couldn't do anything. Here's what's weird. I did the same thing downstairs. I was not able to do anything downstairs on the Windows 10 computer that prevented the exe from running. I did delete the app and the data. I moved the app and the data out of the Treebard folder. I moved them, I deleted them. Nothing prevented the exe from running. I double-clicked it and ran every time. So my conclusion is that I don't know exactly what's going on or why, and that I should give you that as an assignment to educate me, because you the guru, not me. However, I do want to make one conclusion, which is that pyinstaller and Auto-Py-to-EXE both seem to work quite well. I'm a beginner on this stuff. This is my first time making EXE. I've done it over and over. Most of them worked once I got past a certain point of confusion and started understanding a few things, but then I got more confused when they started working better than I expected them to. The EXE works, okay? I uploaded my latest EXE file to Dropbox, and then I went downstairs to the other computer, which is Windows 10, and downloaded it. Now, I've done that before with another version a few days ago, and I didn't have any troubles, but this time I did. Don't ask me why. Windows 10 just arbitrarily decided to delete the EXE without notification, without permission. They just deleted the EXE file after I unzipped it. By the way, I had earlier tried to upload just a straight set of directories and files, but then when I downloaded it, Dropbox turned it into a zip file without permission. So what the heck, I just made my own zip file this time, uploaded a zip file so that Dropbox doesn't make their own zip file to send people. I did a little research, very little, and I learned that Windows does have a tendency, especially Windows 10, a tendency to delete EXE files just for the fun of it or due to paranoia or whatever. I learned how to go into Windows settings and make an exception so that they won't do that. They're not going to delete something from inside a zip file, but when you unzip it to a folder, then that folder, you might want to make an exception for that, and you might have to. How I made an exception so that Windows won't delete my EXE file. This looks very similar in Windows 10. It's in this section, Virus and Threat Protection, of the security area. This is named slightly differently in Windows 10, but it's easy to find, and you can always look for it this way. You just go Exceptions, but it's in here. Then you go down here to this area and click Manage Settings. Scroll down to Exclusions. I didn't mean to say exceptions, I meant to say exclusions. Add an exclusion. Say you want to create a folder on your desktop called Treebard. Click Folder. Don't use file because I don't know what they're going to be called. Everyone's going to be different because I put a timestamp on them. So then you'd go into desktop. You make your folder called. Select that folder. This is Windows 11. I'm not having any trouble on Windows 11. There is one more thing that has come up. Everything seems to be working pretty good, but I don't like one thing about how I did this. I already made a zipped folder for Treebard and uploaded it to Dropbox and downloaded it to test it. I already showed you how it works, what it does, but there's one thing I want to change, and that is this. Here is the place where I extracted the zipped files to. If you go in here to look for the EXE, first you open the outer, and what I want to do is I want to put a folder here that says EXE. I want to actually create the EXE file in a folder called EXE right here, because the way it is right now, you got to keep going. You've already opened Treebard. Now you got to open app, you got to open Python, you got to open output, you got to. And I found when I was explaining this to somebody in an email, and also when I was putting it in my YouTube description, that it'll work, but I don't want to do that if it can be put somewhere else. And I put it in here next to all my Python files. I told it to go into here. That's where they put output. And there it is. The reason I put it there is because I thought, based on some YouTubes I watched for my instructions, that that's the right place to put it. But I'm thinking now, there doesn't seem to be a right place to put it. You kind of put it where you want. I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking that as long as it's in the Treebard folder, this is the whole app right here. It's a copy of it. It's a zipped copy of it that's been extracted into a manually created folder named Treebard, but that's what the original folder is called too. I'm going to make a new EXE, but first I'm going to make a folder, not here but in the original, and I'm going to create the .exe file right there in a folder called EXE, so you'll get to it as soon as you open this up. As soon as you open up your Treebard folder, it's going to be sitting right there. You just right click it and make a shortcut. So let's get started on that little project. That should only take a few minutes. I think I might even remember how to do this, but my lips are sealed. I'm not going to say another word until it's done, maybe. Here is the original Treebard folder. This is the app, the original app, the working copy. Living dangerously here. This is empty. So this is an experiment, but I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to do. Here goes. I will upload this version to Dropbox so that when I send somebody a zip and they unzip it into a Treebard folder, they don't have to drill down through 4 or 5 levels of subfolders to find the .exe file. Okay, that should be a good head start if you've never done it. If you have done it, then you should have made this movie instead of me. All right, well, thanks for showing up, and I'm going to start making this exe file available to people who want to try it. You just have to realize this is Treebard as is. That means it's an unfinished program. There's all kinds of features in there that are not finished, not started, and some of them have errors. Some of them don't work right. So if you get an error and it doesn't work anymore, just close it and open it up again. All right, have fun with that, and when I have more features done, then I'm going to create another exe, and I'll make that available at treebard.com or treebard.proboards.com. Thanks for showing up. Talk to you next time.